Good morning everybody. How are you? I'm Libby from Truly Myrtle and I'm also the founder of Wardrobe Toolbox. And that is the place to come and find out how to make your sweaters fit you perfectly. So it's lovely to have you with me. It's a Thursday morning down here in New Zealand. I'm just cleaning my glasses. I can't see anything at the moment when it's up close, but I will in a second. They're filthy. It's a Thursday morning down here in New Zealand. The sun is shining. The trees are losing their leaves. It's absolutely beautiful day out there. I've got the windows open and the doors open. It's sort of fresh. That's better. Now I can see you. Fresh and cool. It's a beautiful day to be knitting. It's a beautiful day to be talking about knitting. So here we are. I can see you all jumping on. I'm going live out to both Facebook and YouTube. So I'm going live onto Facebook, onto my Facebook page, the Truly Myrtle Facebook page. If you are not a liker or a follower of the Truly Myrtle Facebook page, you might want to be so that you can be notified when these calls go live every single Thursday, 10 a.m. New Zealand time. And then I put a replay up in our Facebook group. It's a huge, great Facebook group. We're nearly going to crack 5,000 people over in our Facebook group. It's such a good place to come and talk about knitting and to ask your questions about Truly Myrtle patterns. And I design Truly Myrtle patterns. So you can come and find out how to do stitches that you're confused about, how to make things fit you and all of that good stuff. You'll find us over on Facebook as the Hangout, the Knit and Chat Hangout. So come and join us. We have had a flood of people joining us over there recently. So if you're one of those people, welcome. It's so nice to have new faces there. I am also going live onto YouTube right now. So I can see some of you already chatting to me on YouTube. You can join in the live chat. The replay will go up there on YouTube and you can catch it later as well. But if you're not a social media person, you may not be watching this if you're not a social media person, but if you're not a social media person, or if you have a friend that's not a social media person, and there are plenty of us around, then sign up to my mini mag, and it's that you'll find that at trulymyrtle.com/mini mag, and I will send you an off social media replay of this podcast every single Friday morning, New Zealand time, in your inbox. And that is the best way to stay in touch with me, is my mini mag. I know lots of you are already on my mini mag, and it's a really good way to find out what's happening. I've got new patterns coming out. There are always lots of good things happening here at Truly Myrtle. So come and join me there. You just go to trulymyrtle.com/mini mag. Just one word, mini mag. Alrighty, Claire, I can see you there. I can see we were trying to work on the same thing at the same time just before. Claire helps me out a lot over at Wardrobe Toolbox and at Truly Myrtle, and we were both, I think, trying to work on the same email at the same time for our Wardrobe Toolboxes. So I realized that she was there and I got out. Hi Sabrina, nice to see you too. Hi Tanya, nice to see you, and Ruth and Barbara. It's been a dreary 5 days in Rangiora, says Barbara. It was really dreary here. Yesterday was okay. It was a little bit sunnier, but we've had some really grey days too. It's good to curl up, light the fire. Becky says it's a chilly in here in Sydney and it's good shawl weather. It has been excellent weather for knitwear, I have to agree. Yesterday I wore a DK jumper. I must have been cold yesterday in the morning. I wore a DK jumper and I was so cozy. So cozy. Today I'm back in sport weight. Hey Lynn, nice to see you. Catherine's calling from Colorado. I love to see all these people from all over the world. And hey Muriel, nice to see you too. It is really good to catch you all live. Now, I've got a couple of things I wanted to show you today. I was thinking of talking about something else, and then I decided to wear this sweater, which is my Hebe sweater. It's a sport weight yarn. It's one of those perfect weights when you're just not sure. I'm not too hot. I'm not too cold. It's that nice in-between weight of sweater. And I put it on and I thought, this is a really good sweater if you want to knit Colorwork, but you're a bit nervous about Colorwork. And I thought, actually, I've got a lot of sweaters like that and a lot of shawls like that. So I thought I would talk to you a little bit about those, just tiptoeing your way into Colorwork, or if you are a seasoned Colorwork person, if you just want to try something different. So I thought we'll talk about those. I've got a whole bunch of things to show you. And then I've also got some books to show you if you want to really take a deep dive into slipped stitch Colorwork, which is what this is. I've got some really good recommendations for you to go and get for your library shelves, because I don't know about you, Well, I do know about you. You, like me, a lot of you like books. We're book people. We're stationery people. We're book people. We're yarn people. We're knitters. We're creative people. And, you know, I think we like a lot of the same things when it comes to tactile things we can feel. So I thought I'd show you first some of the, someone's just driving the car here, so hopefully you can't hear that. I thought I would show you first a really nice way to tiptoe into faux colour work. I mean, it is sort of a colour work. Stripes are your most basic colour work. We're not going to talk about stripes, but stripes are, if you want to add a bit of colour to your garments and or your shawls, and you just can't fathom this whole working with two colours at the same time business, stripes are a really good way to start. But if you want to add colours and mix up the colours and they look like they're worked with two strands at the same time, you might really like slip stitch colour work. And I've got a few ways for you to just tiptoe into that if you want to have a bash and not be too worried about your tension, because keeping your we'll talk a little bit about tension and how you keep a nice even tension. But if you don't want to be too worried about tension, try a shawl. It's a really good place to start. So I thought I'd grab a couple just to show you ways you can do it without feeling like you're just, you know, pushing yourself too hard when you're not in the mood for being pushed. So this one is called Zeta. I actually wrote the names of the shawls down because you know how crazy, how terribly I remember names. I'm not a name person. I am a remember your face 15 years on kind of person. I just find names a bit tricky. Anyway, I wrote the names down. This is Zeta. Now, Zeta I designed years ago, and you start Zeta. She has a shawl. She's a lovely shawl. I use Happy Go Knitty yarn for this one. She's a New Zealand dyer, and it's a yak silk merino yak silk base, I think was this one. I didn't actually check that, but I'm pretty sure it is. It's got that lovely dark halo or doubly dark tones to the yarn, which tells me it's probably got a bit of yak in it. And I remember doing one with that. It's a really nice triangular shawl that's knitted on the bias, and you knit from one side to the other. And I do remember that this color is called olive oil, I think. Olive oil. It's a beautiful, beautiful green color. You start her in the corner, just nice and easy with a bit of garter. Just start her nice and easy. No stress there. You just start. And then you do this fun little pick-up stitch where you pick up stitches from the row below. So you create these sort of little welts, and then you move into just the teeniest little bit of colour work where you're holding one strand of yarn per row, but you're slipping stitches to create this effect. It's just this little part here where you're creating an effect, how do I turn it, of colour work. So you're using, it's like you're using two stitch colours at the same time, but you're not. You're only using one. It makes it much, much easier to work. You go all the way to the end, turn around, do it all the way back again, and then you swap colours on the next row. So that is my little slithers. Then you go into a bit of nice easy lace. You go back into your colour work, nice easy lace, and you just alternate all of these stitches that you've learned all the way through. Nice big swathes of garter just to give yourself a break, and then back into these bands where you've got colourwork lace, colourwork lace, colourwork lace, like that, all the way to the end, and then you finish with those nice bunchy stitches at the end. She's a lovely long shawl. I do love her colours together. So pretty, the purple and the green, and I just wear her more or less bandana style. She's really nice to wear if you're not overly big on well, if you're not overly big on shawls, and if you're not big on overly big shawls, she's actually a really nice one to wear. So I just can tie her in a little knot if you want, and you can just wear her around your neck, and she's not overwhelming as a shawl, but you just get to play with a bit of colour work. So I thought that was quite a good one. If you just thought, I'd like to have a go, I'm not really sure about it, but I'd like to have a go, but I'm pretty familiar with some basic lace. I think I can wrangle my way around a little bit of picking up stitches from rows below, and I certainly know garter. I know increases, I know simple decreases, then you'll be fine with this one. And you can just go until you use up your yarn, really. If you haven't used up all your yarn when you get to the end here, you could just keep going. It'll just make your shawl a little bit longer, and it'll end up being sort of a nice long skinny shawl, which are actually really quite good to wear. So that was the first one, and she is called Zeta. Zeta, Z-I-D-A, or Z-I-D-A for the Americans among you. All right, the next one I had to show you is this one. Now, I designed this one initially with Loop London, and I actually used a common thread. I think that was the name of the yarn. I could have that wrong, but I think I used that yarn, and it was a beautiful gold colors. They did the most fantastic pictures, and they have the shawl actually in their shop. So I knitted a second version for me and sort of some mucky colors. This is also a Happy Go Knitty yarn. This is a merino silk, and I just love, I've got a thing for green, I think. And this one has just these stripes of slipped stitch color work through it, broken up with a little bit of garter and stockinette. Or there's a few little dots. These are little dots in here that you'll do just to give yourself a little bit more texture. She's all about texture. And again, you knit her from side to side, but this one is a little bit different. You start in the corner down here, and you have a central spine so that you pull it together in the middle, and then you do your increases on the outside so that you slowly get bigger, and you just start incorporating these, banners, I don't know, these segments of color work in between your garter. It's really lovely, easy to see if you've made a mistake. Slip stitch color work. Again, you're only working one color per row. You're never working two colors in the same row, only ever one. So in this case, you're either working the green or you're working the cream, and then you work your way all the way up, the same sort of idea, until you get to this point here, and then you turn the corner. And the top of the shawl goes back on itself, and you start decreasing away again. Your spine sort of keeps moving along. Your spine moves, really. You actually still have lots and lots of stitches, and you end up with a really long row right at the end. And I threw a couple of cute little tassels on the end of mine, nice plump tassels. This is a DK. Did I say it was a DK? It's beautifully silky to wear, and this is one, if you are a fan of big shawls, or if you're a big fan of shawls, this would be a good one. So again, I just like wearing her like this. I really like tying these ones up in a bit of a knot. I have another one which I didn't bring you called Flindra, which is similar. A little bit, I've got slip stitch color work, a little bit of garter in that one as well. And it's just, look how much cozier that is on me. So if it's a cold day, then this is super cozy around my neck, just to keep me warm. You can have it nice and high, but you have all this lovely effect of all this color work in here without holding two colors at the same time. Barbara's saying, I made my Zabadoo with 4-ply to make her a bit smaller. You can, absolutely, that's a really good idea, Barbara. So if you want just a slightly smaller one, make it with lighter yarn. You can make it with a 4-ply or a sport. You could also make her with a lace weight. She'd be absolutely beautiful, just so delicate. There's something about lace weight shawls that are so beautiful. Let's have a look at your comments for a second. Hi Lynn, nice to see you. Catherine, Muriel, Terry said it's cold and it's been foggy. The sun's now out. Yeah, those foggy days, sometimes they can turn into beautiful days. Hi Susan in Canada, it's lovely to see you. Yeah, Barbara likes being part of this like-minded knitting community. It's fun, isn't it? Rebecca says, good morning Libby and everyone from a foggy outer Melbourne. I'm wearing my Hebe today too. This is the one I'm wearing. She said, I wear it often. It's a really nice little knit to wear. It's a very comfy little knit to wear, this one. It's not overly full in the body. I'll talk to you about jumpers in a second. I've got a few of them to show you, just a few. Barbara says, hi, it's cold and sunny West Otago. Yeah, it's chilly. Becky, she says she's in Sydney too. Vanda's in Sydney. She said it's chilly. Bernadette says the sun's trying to bake through in the Hurunui district. Nice. So yes, that's another idea. It isn't a whole shawl. It's just little slithers of it, just to have a practice of it, to see how you're going. You don't have to be crazy fanatical about your gauge. You know, this will cover a million sins. If you get too tight and if you get too loose, it's not the end of the world when you're knitting a shawl, because it doesn't have to fit you quite so precisely. You might, if you get too tight, that little section might come in a bit, and maybe you'll make an effort just to loosen up, and vice versa, but it's not going to ruin your whole fit by doing it, you know, just a little bit out of kilter with your tension. So it's a good thing to practice with. I've got another one here, which I know a lot of you have knitted, and this is Medley. And Medley, well, apart from the fact she's an awesome shape to wear, I've got a little knot in the end of her. Well, here's an end without a knot. You start with a little point at the bottom. She also has a central spine, and she goes up until she's the width we want her, and then she just continues at that width until you get to the other end, and then you decrease away again. So the only places that you're working this color work are at either ends, and that is also slip stitch color work. You're not using two colors in the same row, you're using one color per row to knit this. It makes this beautiful little like fleur-de-lis slip stitch color work. It's like a little tweed in this one. I rather love it. And I've used quite a motley yarn at the back for the background, and then I use my home dyed avocado silk merino for the pale color, that pale pinky color. And so the contrast is beautiful. It's quite a subtle contrast, quite a low value contrast, but you can see all the colors change behind, and it really is quite beautiful, the look of it all together. Then I go into this absolutely delicious union fiber silk lace, and just do a bit of lace, silk merino, and I stripe it with some of these, so they've got a few stripes going on in there as well. And then I get to the other end and I go back into that color work again, and I quite like that little cute knot that I do at the end of them. It just adds a bit of interest. You could put tassels on her if you want. These shawls are fantastic to wear because they're just so easy to wear, because they're symmetrical and they're deep enough to sort of cover your shoulders. You can wear her bandana style like I was showing you before, but you can also throw her over your shoulder like that, and then you get to really show off your work. But so this is a good one to start with. If you want to bash at the color work, you don't want to spend the whole time trying to negotiate color work, and you actually just want a little bit of fun. I want a bit of lace, I want a bit of garter, I just like a little bit of changing colors. I want to see what my colors do. 3 skeins of yarn you'll need for this one, 3 skeins of fingering. It's a really lovely option. So that one is called medley. So you can really play like I have with the yarn colors, just to get something that's quite cohesive but gives you quite a bit of interest. So I know a lot of you have already made medley. She's a good one. Then I have 2 more here. This one I designed first. This was the first, I think, no, maybe this was the second one that I did like this. I use a very similar slip stitch pattern in this one. It's not the same, it's different. I just slip 2 stitches at a time, 2 and then 1. I'm trying to think what I did here. Yeah, 2 stitches, 1 stitch. I can't actually remember how I did it. But this creates another nice little tweed. It's different to this tweed. This is more of a houndstooth kind of tweed. Did I say fleur-de-lis before? And this is more of just a dotty kind of tweed. This is Electra. She also uses 3 skeins of yarn. And what I've done in Electra is I started with one colour being dominant, and then I changed. These are the same. These 2 sections, this black and white section and this white and black section, are actually the same yarns, but we hold them differently. We slip a different stitch, and so that makes a huge difference depending on which stitch you're slipping, which color you're slipping, and which color you're working. So I just thought that was a really fun idea to create a feature in this shawl. So she's also one of those fabulous shapes. I really like long skinny shawls. I find them so easy to wear, more like a scarf style or an old sort of pashmina style. This one has a little arrow shape, so she goes in on one end and then she goes out on the other. So she's beautifully easy to knit because her stitch count does not change the whole way through. So you don't have to worry about that. You can focus on something else. And in this case, I focused on really having a fun play with colour. I use Skein Queen yarn for this. It's a silk merino. Skein Queen's a UK dyer. And I really enjoyed doing it. And this was the first time I'd used what I call dirty lace. I love dirty lace. I must do something else with dirty lace. Dirty lace for me is where it's set against garter and not, or reverse stock. It's garter. There's no pearls, basically. You don't purl it. You just have it sort of a slubby kind of finish on the front because you've knit the backs, and you don't purl in these sections at all. So that was the first time I used dirty lace. I ended up doing a whole shawl called dirty lace where the whole thing is just garter at the back. It's really slubby and delicious and textural if you're into that. So this is another one. There's more color work in this, more of the slip stitch color work. We're definitely stepping it up a notch We're giving ourselves a bit of a break in between, and we're playing with color. The way we're going to alternate those colors, as we can see, makes a huge difference. So think carefully about the colors you're going to choose. You want a strong contrast. Well, you don't have to have a strong contrast, but I think it works really well when you do have a strong contrast between these, you know, these two colors here, so that you really notice a significant difference when you swap them over. So that one's Electra. Again, you'll need 3 skeins of fingering, and I used a silk merino, and she just falls absolutely beautifully. Absolutely beautifully. Nikki is saying, hi from the Central Hawke's Bay. Oh, I wonder what the weather's like down there, Nikki. I bet it's beautiful. She said, I'm halfway through a hand-spun Electra, and she's beautiful. Nikki, we would love to see a picture of that. Can you post one in the hangout over on Facebook if you're there? I'd love to see that. Or else if you're on Instagram, you could post on Instagram and then tag me so I can see it. But that, yeah, she's just such a special way to play with colors and really have, you know, without going too crazy. You don't have to, you can use colors that you love without having to be too out of the box. You could just, you know, there's a lot you can do with colors that you love, and just by using them slightly differently. So slip stitch color work, one color at a time, and one color per row. I'll show you the back. You can see here at the back of that one, we slipped the white. And in the back of that one, we slipped the dark. You can see those longer dark bars at the back. So she's actually pretty groovy at the back and the front. You wouldn't be too embarrassed to be showing off your backside in this one, I have to say. So that's Electra. She's always been a favourite of mine. I actually would love to make her in different colours, because I think you could make some wildly crazy ones. And then finally, this, I know a lot of you have knitted this one as well. This is really going for gold with slip stitch color work on this shawl. This is Siren Song. She starts with just a tiny bit of garter. She's got this lovely faux I-cord edging on her, which gives her a beautiful finish on the edges. And then here she goes. And she slips stitches all the way through the body. Slip stitches all the way through, and you can see that the stitches I slipped are the well, you slip and then you garter, and then you slip and then you garter, and I slipped that cream one, and it creates that beautiful honeycomb look. And you can see I've done it again by using a really speckly color. I use La Bonne Amie. I can't speak French. My daughter speaks French. I can't speak French. La Bonne Amie yarn, and it was a beautiful soft speckle that I used at the back, quite yellow. Look at the back, super yellow. And then you can see it here. I actually featured that yarn in the end. These are the same. These are only 2 skeins of yarn. So you can see how we've really made that cream one come to the front, and you really notice the speckles with that slip stitch color work. And then you say, phew, I've done all that. And now I'm going to really feature that color at the end that I was using in this section here. And I have seen some absolutely beautiful, beautiful Siren Song shawls, like footsie socks. I think I did use slip stitch in footsie, didn't I? Did I? Or did I lift a stitch? I actually can't remember the stitch. I can't even remember what I did for footsie. Someone can remind me what I did. I have a tendency to make them, and then unless I remind myself, I'm like, on to the next one, on to the next one. But these ones I do remember. I remember knitting footsie. I can remember sitting in a little batch for the weekend. Mr. Myrtle and I went away in 2020, escaped everybody after those long lockdowns in Auckland. And we had a weekend away, just the 2 of us, and we had a batch in Raglan, his family all from Raglan. And so we had a batch down in Raglan, and I can remember sitting there. It was winter, it was freezing, and I was knitting footsie socks. I can remember that. I can remember knitting them. It's funny how they bring back memories. The garments themselves bring back so many memories. The patterns themselves. Anyway, so Siren Song, she is mega fun. Super, super, super fun. But look, there is a lot more slip stitching in this one than the very first one I showed you, where we just had those little skinny bands where you can test it out. This is to the max. Slip stitching to the max. But I think you will have a lot of fun. I certainly had a lot of fun knitting her. The colors are extraordinary. You can really play with color in this one. Yeah, so she's a super fun one as well. I love it. I love this Siren Song. Apart from the fact I love the name. those sirens calling to who was it that was going home? God, in the Aeneid. Was it in the Aeneid, or was it was going home anyway? What, Odysseus, was he going home? And the sirens were singing to him. But anyway, this is what the shawl is like. So there we are, that siren song as well. Okie doke. So that is shawls. You can start with shawls. If you want to do something, I'll show you that one at the end. But then there are garments. And so we've had a look already at the one I'm wearing, and this is Hebe. And so this is a good one to start with if you just think, no, Odysseus, it was Odysseus, yeah. I should know these things, I just forget. You put me on the spot and then I just freeze and I can't remember. See, names. This is a good one if you think, I want to have a go, but I don't really know if I want to have a go, but I'd like to have a little go. I want a simple little sweatshirt style garment. I want some of these lovely details. I like the colors at the top. I love this. This has got a split hem. I should stand up and show you. It's got a split hem, so you can see it's a little bit longer at the back. I've got my jeans on over my split hem at the back than the front. It's a really nice bottom on this one. It's quite a cute little, it's for a jumper, it's quite sweatshirty. It's a drop shoulders, but as I said before, it's not too wide, and then you just bang the sleeves in that fit you. We will talk about this again another time, but these are the kind of things we talk about at Wardrobe Toolbox. How do I make this garment fit me across my bust and my shoulders, and how do I make the sleeve work for me? Because when I look at the pattern, they're different. So we can talk about that another time, because this particular style, the set and sleeve, is one of the easiest ones to make that adaptation for. There are a couple that are good, but this is one of the easiest ones. So it's quite a nice little fit, and the Colourwork is only across the front. It's not on the back. So it's just across the front, and you can just have that little peekaboo of colour without going crazy. I should have called her Dancing Girls. A lot of people tell me she looks like Dancing Girls. You know, YMCA like that. But she's called Hebe, which is a beautiful little bush in New Zealand. It has these lovely little spiky flowers on it. So anyway, actually some of my Hebes are coming out right now. They're pretty. I've got purple Hebes. You can get all sorts of colours. But this is quite nice because you're knitting it flat at this point. You haven't joined in the round. You can add in a few interesting colours. You could do it just all in a couple of colours. You don't have to use 3 like I did. You could use scraps of yarn. You don't need a lot to play with. And you can just pop in a little bit of slip stitch colour work. These are slightly different stitches. And so I played around and made them up. I love making up slip stitch colour work. I really love it. I should do more because it's one of the things I enjoy a lot. But I wanted my girls at the top to look like my girls at the bottom. And so you slip and then you increase and then you drop and you wind yarn twice and things like that to create these sorts of looks. So it's a little bit more than just slipping 2 and knitting 1 and slipping 2 and knitting 1. But it's not too tricky. It's not tricky. You can do it. And it's just a little slither that you can put in. And then when you get it right, you think, yep, done. Phew, done. Right, that's it. I'll try again on the next garment. And you move on. I have lots and lots of other ones. The original one that I did is Floozy. Floozy was the very first. It's Floozy on my stand back here. Was the very first cardigan that I tried this slip stitch colour work, and man alive, I had a ball doing that. I really did. I so enjoyed making it up. This is the other Floozy cardigan. But they're the same cardigan. This one has long sleeves and a longer body than the one on my model. But I thought this was a good clear one to show you. So you can see in here, this colour work around the top of the yoke is slip stitches. At the top, you just knit 2, slips 2, knit 2, slips 2. You start easy, have a little bit where you don't do anything. And then you have just a little peak of red that comes through with the slip stitches. And then you'll see here, I've done these fun ones where you wind yarn around your needle and drop them. So you create these nice long stitches in here. And then I've done it again here to do the little zigzag part. And then we go back into those familiar stitches at the bottom. So it's not hard. This was a garment that a lot of people knitted as their very first cardigan. I heard that so many times. I highly recommend that you do a little tiny square to practice your colour work before you get started, just to make sure you like the colours together. You could also practice just the stitches themselves. But this Floozy she's just so much fun to knit. One colour per row, one strap, one yarn. You're not changing yarns. It's one per row, because I don't mind colour work, but I much prefer slip stitch Colourwork. I just really enjoy it a lot. So that was Floozy. That's how I got started. And then last week I had Floozy too on my model, and I actually turned her, with lots of people asked me, and so I turned her into a jumper. So that's the same pattern here, but there's no cardigan version. The other one's knitted flat, and this one is knitted in the round. So they're slightly different the way you approach them, just with the stitches. But that one, you can see I did a much more close value, and whereas these ones are much more striking. The Colourwork is much more striking, the difference. This one, tonally, the values are quite close. I actually love this. I love this jumper. I wear it all the time. And there was something actually, my mum commented the other day. It was my mum, I think a couple of people commented lately how flattering this one is. And the thing I like to do when I'm doing these yoke garments is I like to give you, I don't think I've got any where the Colourwork comes off the neck around the top. I like to sink it, and never say never, I might do that, but I quite like to drop them. In fact, I have got an idea where I might do something slightly different, but I like to drop them so they sort of sling off your shoulders. I think they're very flattering, particularly if you have a larger bust, to have that look where they're not all coming out from here, a little bit Elizabethan. I quite like that slow slung look. So you see at the front, the shoulder, you go up to the shoulders, and then at the back you've got that nice drop all the way through the shoulders. So that's Floozy 2, one colour per row. And you can see if you have closer colours, it's still very, very, very pretty, but it's just a little bit different. Here's another one. This is a good one. This is Wave Crest. This is a good one. This is just 2 colours, so you don't have to be like panicking about, I've got a million colours, how am I going to make them all work? The others are 1, 2, 3 colours. These are all 3 colours. This is just 2. This is 4 colours, this one that I've got on. But this is just 2. So you can just take it down a notch. You only need 2. You just need a contrast. I did quite a strong contrast on this one, but it's all zigzaggies. It's quite fun. And then I've got these little bobbles in the front, these little bobbles. She's super pretty, that one. And again, I've done that thing with the neck where you have that slit. It's hangs off your shoulders, and so it's not Elizabethan off your neck. And I think that's I like it. I like it like that anyway. I think it's flattering. So that is Wave Crest, only 2. What jumper am I wearing? This is Hebe. This is the one I'm wearing. It's called Hebe, and she's a little sport weight jumper. I actually use Truly Myrtle yarn. This is Curiouser, the colour there, and the pink is Grace, and the gold is Joy, and the cream is Oatmeal. And Skeins.com have got all of the colours back at their shop now. They are selling like they're nearly all gone at the moment. I'm not quite sure what we're going to be doing in the future with it, but at the moment I sent everything back to Skeins for their big sale, and I'm quite enjoying not having to pack parcels, I have to say. But so these are all with Skeins. They're the colours that I designed, so you can find them there, Skeins.com. But yes, Wave Crest, you only need 2 colours. And then what else have I got? I got one more that I've done here. And I've showed you this one again recently, I'm sure. Maybe I was wearing this one the other day. This is Dolly, and Dolly uses 3 colours as well. And I use beautiful Floozy yarn for this. This is a sock yarn of hers. And this is a merino silk. I've done it in 2 different versions. I've got a big... Look at that. I've got a pulled stitch. I have to repair that in there. Here we go. Just pull it in. I've got a dingly dangly stitch. This is the little kind of cute cropped version of this one. And she also has just a tiny as a bit of slip stitch on her cuff, which makes her have an interesting little cuff. So that one is Dolly. I've taken the little bobbles that I love, and I've taken some of the slip stitches, and I've done some interesting things with the zigzags at the top, just to give her some interest. And she's got those little rosebuds in her, and she is super, super pretty. So that is Dolly. That's the other one I've done in the slip stitch Colourwork. And again, 1 yarn per row. That's it. You don't have to muck around with changing colours and things. It's 1 per row. And it's lots and lots of fun. And these are both knitted flat as well. So you're going to keen to have a Dolly in your life. You're going to make her as a jumper. I should actually go back and do Dolly as a jumper. It's one of those things that's on my list, and I never get around to doing it. But I should do Dolly as a jumper because I think I would love to wear that myself. Now, if you are going to have a go with the slip stitches and you're struggling with your tension, then the things to remember are knit with a light hand. You don't want to tug things tightly. The way I do it is I knit, and then I have the stitches when I'm about to slip the yarn. I pull the yarn over. Like, let's say I've slipped three stitches. I just have them aligned on my right needle, like in the same sort of distance that I want them when they're finished, and then I just pull my yarn over so that it's sort of a moderate way of doing it. You'll get into the rhythm of it. You don't have to consciously think about it, but you just gently pull them over and then keep knitting. And I talk about it as knitting with a light hand. You more or less knit normally, but if you're finding that things are getting too tight, just make an effort just to relax and loosen up. And if you're finding that they're getting really loose, just be slightly firmer. It's not quite the same as strict colour work, where you've got those long strands and you're catching them and all that sort of stuff. I don't tend to do a lot of colour work with those sorts of long floats. The backs of mine, I'll show you some of the backs, and you'll see. I showed you the back of the shawls, but see, these are the back. This is the back of my floozy, and so they're not crazy long floats. I don't tend to use crazy long floats. I like them to be a little bit shorter. If you ever did have a crazy long float, you could catch it like you would, like in regular. That's about as long as I go. Oh look, there's a longish one. There's a longish one. It's about an inch. I wouldn't go longer than an inch. And it's actually, look, it's actually, because it's wool, it's actually just nestled in and it's not going to be loose anyway. There's some slightly longer ones up here. But that's about as long as I go for a float. I don't catch them. If they're more than an inch, I'd catch them, but they're not usually. So yeah, a light hand is the way I would do it. It's it's a little bit of trial and error, but I don't think you have to be too pedantic about your floats when you're doing it. Just make sure you're not yanking it really tightly as you're going along. Just make sure you're just letting them breathe, let them just relax a little bit. And if you're finding that you're being too relaxed, then just gently pull them up and make them a little bit tighter. The dolly cardigan that I've got, that one really benefits from you having a light touch around the colour work at the shoulder, because there's a lot here, this section here, there's a lot of slipping. It's not going to have a heck of a lot of give in that section. If you find that you are super tight when you are knitting and you're just slipping, knitting, you might be feeling a little bit tense. Maybe go up a needle size, and then you'll find that it'll give you the stretch that you want across that area there. You might find it helps you to do that. Barbara says, from memory, the longest float on wave crest is 5, and that'll be about right, actually, Barbara, because that's there's probably about 6 was 24. There's probably about 6 stitches to the inch in wave crest. I wouldn't have gone longer than that. Yeah, I wouldn't have thought. Tanya, so when you knit in the round, how do you take the different colors down the side, like alternating balls of wool flat next to each other? Sorry, I don't know how correct. Oh, I see, Tanya. Okay, when you're alternating colors, you just let it drop, because let me think. When you get to the end of your round, you can see in it, because you're knitting upside down, you can see inside your work, and so you'll see your strands of yarn, and so you just lift the yarn up without twisting it. Just lift it up to the next round that you need it. Is that what you said? How do you take the different colors down the side, like alternating balls? Yeah, flat next to each other. Yeah, but I just like to have a ball on either side, and you just gently lift it. So you don't want to twist them like this as you're going, but you can see in the whole thing as you're working, and you can just gently lift them up. I think I'd have to do it to show you, really, but it doesn't have to be overly complicated. Don't overly complicate it. Just try and the easiest solution is usually the right one. So as long as you're not twisting it, you can't really go too wrong. And don't yank it and then make it really tight. Give it a little bit of slack as you're going up the side, just a little bit, because you want some of that vertical stretch like that. So just have a little bit of slack as you're going up the side. Okay, I got to wrap us up in a minute because I've got a masterclass with our wardrobe toolboxes at 11. So I need to go and quickly make myself a fresh cup of tea and readiness for that. Okay, I wanted to show you 3 books that I've got. If you want to really go crazy and dive into the world of slip stitch knitting, I have acquired these over the years. You can totally make it up yourself. You don't need to look at anything. You can just play like I did when I was a little girl with my recorder case. I was slipping stitches when I was 12, just making it up because I thought but what would happen if? I remember thinking that to myself. What would happen if? And I was making a recorder case and I just slipped stitches. I look at it now and I think, oh, that's what I did. It's amazing. I did all these crazy little stitches and twisted things and all sorts of things. Let's try and have the curiosity and risk-taking willingness of a 12-year-old. I think that's the way to go. This is a really, really beautiful book. Colour Knitting Techniques, The Essential Guide to Colour Knitting Techniques by Margaret Radcliffe. There are lots and lots of information about working with colour in here. It's not limited to just slip stitch knitting. There's all sorts of stuff. For those of you who were on the other day and I talked about my colour wheels, she has some great examples of harmonies with colour. It's a beautiful book. She talks all about knitting with garter, all sorts of stitches in here. But one of the things that she has got is a section on slips. Where's my God? I can never find the beginning of my little thing. There's a section on slip stitches, pattern stitches. And she's got a whole host of different stitches that you can knit when you're stitching, which is a beautiful book. There's lots of ideas in here, and it's even got patterns and things in that book. The Art of Slip Stitch Knitting. And then finally, Barbara Walker's Mosaic Knitting. She is just the master of all manner of stitch dictionaries, and she has got all sorts of really lovely slip stitches. Look at that. See, I like that one there. I've marked it 22. Oh, I fancy that skirt, don't you? And they're all charted. There's none are written. They're all charted. That's one of the things about slip stitches. Oh, I remembered I've got another jumper of slip stitches, which is Phoenix. As I say that, I remember I made Phoenix as well. All right, everybody, I am going to fly. Sorry about that little hiccup at the end. I'm going to fly. I will catch you all same time, same place next week. And in the meantime, do lots of knitting, wardrobe toolboxes. I will see you in 15 minutes over on our platform for a fantastic masterclass all about how to read colourful skeins, speckly skeins, variegated skeins. We're going to learn how to read our skeins. All right, everybody, I will see you there. Bye. See you later.